Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Dash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are well. Peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Haran coming back at you with another lesson. And Lord will be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and today's October 2nd, 2025, and we're still under a so-called government shutdown. All right, under a so-called government shutdown, and just like we start from our elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, we are watching the manifestation of Jacob's trouble. All right, we're watching the manifestation of Jacob's trouble because this is all the setup, right? You're starting to see the shift, or you're going to start seeing the shift into that so-called New World Order totalitarian world that we've been describing, prophesying about. Okay, the times of the end, the times of tribulation that our Lord mentioned. Okay, Matthew the 24th chapter. Okay, Luke 21, Mark 13. All right, also Jeremiah 30 and 7. The prophet Jeremiah mentions a time like never before. All right, and I was just watching the news and prophecy from the elder Yashawamba, and he was going into Stephen Miller's cute little speech that he gave in regards to this dragon that has been supposedly awoken by you. Whoever the you is and the they that he was talking about, they're all speaking in code, so we know exactly what they're talking about because, again, we are the prophets of the Lord. Okay, so we understand exactly who this is, referring to, or who they're aiming. All right, as it tells you in the book of Psalms, chapter 64. Let's see if we can get that real quick. All right, because that's what they're doing. This is all part of creating a totalitarian state. All right, Lord willing, I'm doing some research on that, but Lord willing, once I'm done, I'll bring it out. You know me. But basically, just studying their patterns is the same shit. They've been doing this for years. All right, going back to the events preceding World War I, and then the after effect of World War I, how it affected the world economy, the people of the world, and just the system of the world alone. All right, how World War I affected that, which transitioned into World War II, and what happened post World War II, prior and post World War II, and now you've seen similar, if not the same things happening that's leading to World War III. Okay, but all in all, you understand that within those various wars, you had major countries during them times where there was some type of dictatorship or totalitarian agenda being pushed upon its people. All right, and that's exactly what you're starting to see, not just in America, but around the world. The Chinese model, as they say, that is the ideal model / method of control. Okay, have surveillance everywhere, like Larry Ellison said with Oracle. The people will be on their best behavior. All right, the citizens will be on their best behavior. It's almost like, who the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? The people, the citizens are gonna be on their best behavior. Like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, who are these people, bro? He's like 80-something years old, about to die, but he doesn't want to die. You're not gonna be a Rockefeller that you get 7 heart transplants. You're still gonna be out of there anyway. Now, if the Lord preserve these devils for them to make it, all right, which most of them will make it because they've made it this far. We don't got like 10 more years, so they go 81, 82. You be around. You're gonna be around when the Lord comes back. You're gonna be a bunker somewhere thinking you about to chill, and that's when the Lord's gonna give you turn your frown upside down. So again, it tells you that in the book of Job when he's about to fill his belly. Right now they're eating. All right, they're eating right now. They're eating. All right, they're taking over things. They're changing things. This is part of them eating. When they created Doge was a big part of eating. Okay, the eating part of the prophecy, which is filling his belly. All right, the belly of the beast. you know, getting all the information, data, you know, putting all these new rules together, new laws, okay, new ways of doing things, quote unquote the new normal, all right, setting a precedent on how this so-called law is going to work. Okay, I seen a video or an article where they said that the police had arrested an 11-year-old for TikTok threats. Yeah. You know, so I was like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. And then just a few months ago, not even that long ago, Trump was saying something about these little so-called YNs that had shot up, you know, had shot up some shit, but they were, you know, under 18 years old. And he said, nah, we need to persecute them like, you know, prosecute them like they're actually adults, because they're committing crimes that adults commit. So if you commit a crime like killing somebody, you're gonna be on death penalty, and guess what? He's not playing. All right, the Lord is putting the Spirit on him to actually show who he really is. And we told you, Apostle Talib is saying that this guy is Nero from day one. Okay, I think he started saying that even when he was his first term. He's saying, yeah, this is Nero coming back. Back then, you couldn't really see it. Yeah, you get that. You could see the if you know the history, you could see, be like, oh yeah, he hadn't done nothing yet. You know, he wasn't really in power yet. So you couldn't really see the Nero in him, but you could see the similarities. You could see the face. You could see, be like, oh yeah, you know, that's crazy. You know, you might not necessarily come back, you know, the same looking person, but sometimes you could get some similarities, right? Because there are certain spirits that are so strong, it radiates even through their body. You can see their spirit from what they look like. You could actually be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You look like how your spirit should look like, type shit, you know? That's Trump. He got that pompous look. You know, he always has his head up, looking down on people and shit. The way he talks, you know, the way he moves. Yeah, this guy's he walks like a if you look at how Trump walks and you see his strut, he kind of has that strut of an eagle. He got that kind of, you know, vibe to him, you know. Fucking Trump, bro. Oh man, but yeah. So I was gonna pull up the book of Psalm 64, and that's what Stephen Miller is doing right now. Okay, and he's nothing but just a small little boy who was he looked like, if you were to see where he came from, because he's just another J, one of these J's that go to school and then out of nowhere they're picked and get in a position, and then next thing you know they become a spokesperson or an important figure in society that everybody got to listen to, right? This guy, when you look at where I think he grew up in San Diego or some shit. All right, I remember Stephen Miller, little ass boy, and he got an opportunity. Damn, I forget who he got an opportunity with that he started working with. Okay, and he made a good enough impression where during Trump's first administration he was working in there. All right, now he's back again, but this time he comes back as Trump's top immigrations, you know, he's like his immigration czar or some shit. You know what I mean? So he's coming up with all these policies, right? He's the one who's coming up with all these things, apparently, right? Because they got to give you an image, they got to give you a face. You see? So he's the one behind it. He's the brainchild, the mastermind behind Trump's immigration policy. Okay? So for him to come out of nowhere and push all this Charlie Kirk CK bullshit, yeah, I don't want to kick the algorithm in. All right? They're just using the CK situation as a ritual, all right, as a blood ritual, all right, slash rehearsal. Okay, in order to what? To bring about a certain type of reaction from the people. Wrong reaction solution. But whether you give them the reaction or not, their agenda is set, which is to come against the men of the Lord, to come after you Israelites. That's the speech he was given. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. What the fuck do you mean by that? Huh? What do you mean by that? One person goes and commits a crime, and now it's a you, as in all of us. I thought, again, like I said in the video the other day, you have apprehended the guy. Why don't you direct your threats towards him? Why don't you mention his name and say this is what you've caused and so on and so forth? But that'll also be strange, because that's not how the law system works over here. You don't just get on stage and start dehumanizing somebody because of a crime they committed. You know? But you got Trump saying he calling Jake animals and shit. He came up with some crazy ass extravagant lie. And we say what we say because we're objective about everything that's going on. We don't play into the left-right, what they call a left-right paradigm. You know, oh, you're a Trump supporter, oh, you're a Trump hater, all this stuff. We don't play into that shit, bro. We are into prophecy. Whoever's going to bring prophecy, we all in. Okay? Whoever's going to play to the tune of prophecy, we're all in. And Trump is just doing his job. He said it. He said, I have a job to do. All right? He has a job to do. And 2 years ago, he converted to being, you know who, right? So he got he is small hat now. He wears a small hat, and he touched the wall. All right, the wall that you touch and you hump, that shit. He did that. Okay, he did that shit. All right, and when he was running for president back in 2015, 2016, when he became president, he was running on the evangelicals, right? Evangelical pastors and so on and so forth. So-called Christian, right? And then when he was running again, this time in 2020, in 2020 he was running for the same thing. When Biden and them so-called won, right? He was still pushing for evangelical pastors and all that, you know, the churches and all that stuff, right? They were all voting for this nigga, you know? And then you have the white evangelicals, I should say. And then you have the, in 2024, he was also pushing for the Christians. I'm not Christian, but, you know, go out there and vote. We're going to fix it. You know, you don't have nothing to worry about, whatever. So he lied to the people. He made it seem, well, he didn't really lie. He told them straight up, I'm not Christian. And they still voted for him. Like, oh, yeah, you know. So he already lied to the people. He already tricked you. He already got you what he wants. And then he turns around and he says, now I'm going to pledge an oath to the Jays now. You know? So there you go. Right? He sold you out. He pledged interest. He pledged an oath, all right, to the interest of the Jays. Just like every other president who never got assassinated did, because if they didn't go along with it, they will be out of there. It's just that simple. That's just how they move. All right, you got people who are on the inside who tell you that. Like, yeah, nah, there's a reason why you don't go against them, because they're too powerful, is what they say. Or they're too powerful, or they have a very powerful lobby. You can't really go against Israel's interests. As a sitting president of America, if you go against the interest of Israel, you're losing a battle. He said, if you're a politician and you go against the interests of Israel, what's going to happen is whatever term you're serving at that time, that's the last term you're going to be serving, because they're going to get you out of there, and they're going to put somebody else in there who's going to, you know, perform their interests, so to speak. They have a powerful lobbying group, is what people say, those who are in the know. You see what I'm saying? We don't got to be in the inner circle to know all these things, because the Lord has already revealed it to us. It's all in the scriptures. Okay, it's all in the scriptures, man. All right, vividly too. All right, and they're called out by names: Edom, Idumea, all of that, Esau. Okay. So this is the book of Psalm chapter 64, and verse 3 says, "Who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words." Okay, so what this guy Miller, okay, you know these are not their real names. All right, just remember that every time you mention these names, it's just the character that they're playing. All right, but a lot of them they change their names. Most of them change their names. All right, most of them change their names. That's why their names never sound real or authentic. All right, like Donald Trump. You get what? You know, Henry Kissinger. Like what? Benjamin Netanyahu. You mean Malachowski? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, these people, man, these people. All right, but it says, verse why do they shoot the bitter words? Verse 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Okay, so suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. When you have quite literally shoot, okay, they're going to use the military to shoot at the perfect, those who speak uprightly, all right, in the name of Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai. Okay, so that's what we're getting prepared for. All right, as is written, a time like never before, and also Esau coming down upon the earth. All right, the inhabitants of the earth having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, so it's definitely a time like never before on both sides, both the left-hand side and the right-hand side. All right, because they're going to have to go all out. But them going all out, he called himself the storm, otherwise known as the flood. All right, the storm and the flood are synonymous in the sense of their destructive state. It's a wiping, sweeping, destructive state. All right, when the storm hits, whatever is left behind after the storm has hit is all heap of ruins and destruction. All right, same thing with a flood. And typically those two go together. All right, you get a storm, you might get a flood, depending on how much rain you're going to be getting. Okay, but they're using these words because that's what they do. It's all casting spells. All right, they're letting you know before they do something, so that way when it happens you can't say, oh, but I didn't know. No, you did know, you just chose not to do anything about it. You sat down and said, oh, the government is working for us. Oh, everything is going to be all right. Like I was saying earlier, the whole government thing, the government shutdown thing. And most people haven't even heard about it. That's how you know this is going to be a very, very effective one. The end results of this shutdown, however long it takes, people are going to suffer heavy. Because now you're expecting people to what? To federal workers to still go to work and expect to get their back pay. Now, how long is this going to go? They're saying these people saying that is at a stalemate, right? The House and so on and so forth. They're saying it's at a stalemate. My thing is, the Republicans hold the majority. Okay, you hold the majority in the Senate. You have the sitting president, who is a so-called Republican, and the Supreme Court pretty much has mostly Republican appointed, meaning Trump appointed. Okay, federal judges, Supreme Court judges. Okay, for the most part. So why wouldn't anything go in the favor of the Republicans? Is a very interesting question. How can you be at a stalemate when you say you have the majority? That's very interesting. So both of them are not trying to work something out. Okay, and that's because they want to affect the lives of the American people. And you're going to be affected by it. These tariffs kicking in, now they say you're going to work, but you ain't getting no pay. You're going to work, but you ain't getting no pay, but we're going to give you back pay once this thing is all done. Now, what if this shit takes a month, 2 months? In this economy, you're going to be working for free in this economy? Bro, stop. So people going to start snapping. And once you snap and you start complaining about it, he's going to fire your ass. He said it. So they're going to be trimming the fat, so to speak. Okay? Hegseth, all right, that degenerate, all right, piece of monkey shit, Pete Hegseth, all right, he's nothing but a frat boy. That's all he is. You see the tattoos on him? A Nazi little boy. All right, a Nazi little boy. All right, Pete Hegseth. He's not qualified to be in that position. Point blank, period, bro. All right, he's just a little boy. And if you see what he was, the speech he gave to those admirals and the generals, bro, listen, you got generals that have been serving for 30, 40 years. And you got this little boy up here on stage telling them, you can't be fat, you can't be this, you can't be that. You better be able to do the standard military training shit, whatever, twice a year. The fitness thing, twice a year. I'm like, yo, this is a little boy talking to grown-ass men like this. Like, this is crazy, bro. It's so out of order. And that's why America is going. That's another reason why they will disintegrate, man. They're so completely out of order. Hegseth should have nowhere at all been in that type of position, man. I would have been making a football coach in a high school. That's how insignificant that little nigga is, man. He's a so-called white DEI hire. That's all he is. Kiss ass to get to that position. He ain't no threat. Dude doing the gritty, dancing at a football game like a little kid, bro. He probably pops a whole bunch of beer with his frat boys, his friends and shit. Complete punk. Can't respect no nigga like that. And giving a corny ass speech talking about no fat generals. You gotta be clean shaven and all this. They're trimming the fat. Okay? They're trimming the fat, man. They basically say, look. We need you to pledge an oath, all right? Not to the Constitution, but to your sitting president and to your next your totalitarian generals that are going to be taking over soon. Your Aldous Karps of the world, your Peter Thiels of the world, your Zuckerbergs of the world. Okay, that's who he's talking about. You're going to be pledging allegiance to them because before a dictator becomes a dictator, he needs to have the military to push his agendas and to do his dirty work. So that's what you're gonna see. Interesting times, man. All right, communist China. All right, they got a billion. Was it 2 billion or 1 billion man army? Okay, 1 billion or 2 billion man army. That's crazy. That is insane. America doesn't have anything like that, but they got the technology for it, which is all Israeli grade, as is spoken of by Netanyahu himself. Okay, Malakovsky. All right. So get ready. All right, get ready. We are in those times. This is October at the end of the day. After all, this is October, so you know, October surprise, right? They already set the stage, so we're gonna see. All right, we're gonna see. But just remember, when he calls it a war zone, anywhere that he declares a war zone, you're gonna have the military pop in there, which is all in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, which says it forbids the federal government to use the military to engage in law enforcement against American citizens on American soil. They're going against that. And if they're going against that, that's a tone setter to tell you we're coming down upon you with great wrath, because we know that we have but a short time. Okay? So anyway, I'm going to leave it up there. There's something on my mind I just wanted to speak on. Lord willing, you were edified. And until next time, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakatam, Shalom.